From abusing children for weeks on end to cutting up and disposing of bodies, we take a look at 10 of the worst babysitters ever. Number 10. Agnes Wong. In 2007, Agnes Wong was hired to look after 16-month-old Hugo Wang for a while. On January 25th, Hugo was taken to a children's hospital in Manchester after incurring serious head trauma due to being swung around by his ankles. Wong had been abusing the child for the past few weeks, and by this point, he was covered in bite marks, bruises, and burns, and had been severely beaten. Wong claimed she only disciplined the child when he was being naughty, and that he got the burn marks from messing around with a hairdryer. Hugo died on January 26th, and Wong was charged with his murder a few days later. Wong was sentenced to 5 years in jail for the crime, but in a highly controversial decision, she only served 2 years, after which she was paid $7,000 to go back to Malaysia. Number 9. Marquita Birch. In May 2012, when William Cunningham was just 1 year old, he was being looked after for a few weeks by Marquita Birch, a friend of his mother. On Friday the 25th, Birch told police that the toddler had wandered off while they were in a park that night. While police, firefighters, and neighbors searched for over 5 hours, Birch's story started to unravel. She eventually confessed that the toddler was dead, hidden in the closet at her cousin's house. Birch claims she wasn't responsible for his death, and that she just found him at the bottom of the stairs on May 23rd, having given him ibuprofen before putting him to bed the previous night. Upon finding him, still alive, instead of taking him to the hospital, she panicked, put him in a garbage bag, and stashed it. She was sentenced to 19.5 years in prison. Number 8. Gabriela Gonzalez. 25-year-old Gabriela Gonzalez was smuggled illegally into the U.S. and forced into prostitution 7 years ago. She managed to leave that life behind and moved in with a number of people in Richmond, Virginia. In October 2011, one of the women she lived with went to Maryland in search of work, and Gonzalez was left in charge of her 2-year-old daughter, Kiri Nicole. Unfortunately, Kiri was suffering from a bad rash, and Gonzalez couldn't get her to stop crying. Her frustration with the toddler grew until she snapped. Gonzalez violently shook the 2-year-old and beat her head against a bathtub. Kiri was placed on life support, but died after 3 days. Gonzalez was given the maximum sentence of 20 years and is no longer allowed to see her own child. Number 7. William Howard Lael. William Howard Lael is being charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of child abuse after his girlfriend left her 2 children in his care. On a Saturday night, a panicked Lael ran out of the house looking for help, ran back in, and re-emerged with 20-month-old Jaden's body. Jaden was dead, but paramedics came for his 3-year-old sister, Kylie, who was with another neighbor by that point. This neighbor noticed that not only did Kylie have fresh marks from being scalded on her head, shoulders, and legs, she also had ones that were obviously there from a while back. She was taken to a hospital and treated, while Lael was arrested. Although bail has been set at $100,000 for the charges of child abuse against Lael, the charge of murder means he can't get out. Number 6. Elzbieta Plakowska. On October 30th, 2012, Elzbieta Plakowska was looking after her friend's 5-year-old daughter, Olivia, along with her own 7-year-old, Justin. That night, she stabbed her son 100 times and Olivia 50 times, killing both of them. After being arrested, Plakowska repeatedly changed her story. At first, she adamantly denied having murdered the children, saying somebody had broken in and killed them while she was out for a smoke. Soon after, she admitted to killing them because she thought they were possessed by the devil. Later, the devil was replaced by the evil of society. She also claimed to have heard voices in her head and tried to use her father's recent passing as an excuse for her instability. In spite of her many confessions, Elzbieta pleaded not guilty in November last year and is undergoing psychiatric evaluation to determine if she can be deemed fit to stand trial. Number 5. Frederic Mitchell. In March 2013, Frederic Mitchell, a 21-year-old man from Cincinnati, was babysitting 6-month-old Elliot Magerditchian, the son of one of Mitchell's housemates. At some point during the day, Mitchell threw him into a wall for reasons unknown. Elliot was taken to the hospital, where he died a few days later. Mitchell's mother, Angela, claims he suffers from blackouts and stresses that she firmly believes the tragedy was just an accident, Mitchell was initially charged with felonious assault and had his bond set at $1 million. But after the coroner ruled Elliot's death a homicide, the charges were increased to felonious assault and 2 counts of murder, for which Mitchell could spend life in prison. He's currently awaiting trial in the Hamilton County Justice Center. Number 4. Carl Mcloon. Carl Mcloon was 15 years old when he was asked to look after 2-year-old Demi Leigh Mayon for an hour and a half while her mother ran some errands, including buying a birthday card for Carl. After going to the park, the kids returned to Demi's home, where Carl beat Demi, bit her, and shaved her head. When her mother returned, Carl was watching TV, while Demi was barely alive and rushed to the hospital. Carl denied any wrongdoing, saying she had sustained her 69 injuries by falling in the park. The toddler was severely brain damaged and was taken off life support 2 days later. Carl eventually confessed to his psychiatrist, who said the boy had a low IQ and came from a broken home. Carl claimed that nobody can punish him as much as he will himself, but he was still given 15 years for his crime, having been tried as a minor. The only apparent motive for his brutal infanticide is that Demi was annoying him. Number 3. Michael Pluma. Alana Lemon and her 2 sisters were being looked after by their neighbor, Pluma, as their mother was sick and their father worked nights. On Friday, December 23, 2011, Alana went missing. Pluma told the police he just assumed she had left his trailer and gone back to her own. Christmas came and went without any sign of the missing girl. Then, the following Thursday, the FBI became involved in the case, and Pluma admitted that he had beaten her on his front steps with a brick before working through the night with a hacksaw to dismember her body. He then separated the pieces, freezing her head, hands, and feet for unknown reasons, and disposing of the rest of the body in a dumpster. He was originally facing the death sentence for the crime, but upon pleading guilty, this was changed to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 2. Joseline Ortega. Joseline Ortega, aged 50, was hired by the Krim family to look after their 3 children. Their mother, Marina Krim, returned home after taking her 3-year-old son to a swimming lesson, only to find the bodies of her other 2 children in a bath filled with bloody water. 6-year-old Lucia and 1-year-old Leo had been stabbed to death by Ortega. As soon as Marina entered the room, Ortega slit her own wrist and began stabbing herself so violently that she pushed the kitchen knife she was using out the other side of her neck. Ortega and the children were taken to the hospital, where she was stabilized and they were pronounced dead. Number 1. David McGreevy. Now nicknamed the Monster of Worcester, David McGreevy was a young man staying with his family in Worcester, England in 1973. One day in April, he was asked to take care of the family's 3 young children. Instead, he gruesomely murdered them before carrying the bodies outside to the garden railing, where they were impaled and put on display. He was arrested that same day and sentenced to life in prison. In a controversial 2009 ruling, he was granted anonymity when his lawyers argued that it was his human right to have his identity kept a secret. McGreevy had already been assaulted by other prisoners twice, and lawyers argued that identifying him would result in further attacks. The anonymity order was lifted this year, although McGreevy may be allowed to change his name in the future. He has unsuccessfully applied for parole 9 times so far, and will plead again later this year. This has got to be one of the worst babysitters ever.